Iran has accused the United States of bullying even its own allies. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said that the Americans have shown that they have no limit or boundary in imposing pressure and using force on others and even their own allies. Zarif said that Turkey and some US allies in Europe have come to the conclusion that the United States is not a trustworthy partner. Remember, United States has doubled tariffs on Turkish steel and aluminium imports over the detention of an American pastor. Egypt claimed that its military has killed 20 suspected militants in an airstrike carried out in its western desert and shootouts in Sinai Peninsula. 18 other militants were arrested in central Sinai in an ongoing operation. Egypt had launched an operation against Islamic State in February this year after hundreds of its citizens, including security forces, were killed in several attacks. The Egyptian government, however, did not mention the names of those killed. Canada said that it remains optimistic about the progress of negotiation with the United States over a revamp of the North American Free Trade Agreement. It, however, added that there is a huge amount of work left to be done when it comes to specific issues. Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said that some significant compromises made by Mexico will be of great help to Canadian workers. British Prime Minister Theresa May met Nigerian President Muhammadu on Wednesday at his presidential villa in Abuja. The duo discussed the strengthening of commercial and trade ties and also signed agreements on economic and defence cooperation. This is the British Prime Minister's first trip to the continent, and she hopes to bolster ties with the African nations ahead of Britain's exit from the European Union, which is due next March. A group of Venezuelan retirees gathered in Caracas to express their opposition to changes in the national pension system. The demonstration was organized outside the Venezuelan Social Security Institute. The policy change that now demands retirees to organize their pension through a state-issued identification card is being seen by many as a means of extending state control by tracking of its citizens. The new pension scheme will come to effect on September 1st. Over 50,000 people have been evacuated from central Myanmar after part of a dam failed at around 5:30 a.m. local time on Wednesday. Several communities were inundated and a bridge was damaged on a major highway. Roads linking to major cities like Yangon, Mandalay and the capital Naypyidaw were also affected. The incident highlights safety concerns about dams in Southeast Asia as it comes just weeks after collapse of a hydroelectric dam in Laos. According to the World Health Organization, the outbreak of Ebola in Congo may not yet have stabilized. Though the number of Ebola cases in Congo is on the decline, the World Health Organization claims that there is difficulty in identifying new cases near the rebel-controlled areas. Some areas close to the epicenter of the outbreak are off-limits to the health workers due to security concerns. The latest outbreak was declared on the 1st of August. 112 confirmed cases have been identified in eastern Congo, including 75 deaths. Argentina has asked the International Monetary Fund for early release of the country's $50 billion standby fund. The request by the Argentinian President Mauricio Macri is aimed at calming the country's turbulent markets. The country's currency has already weakened 40.79% in 2018, and the investors are concerned that the high inflation the country might face problems meeting its dollar debt obligation in 2019. Thousands gathered at Arizona State House on Wednesday to pay respects to late U.S. Senator John McCain, who died of brain cancer on Saturday. McCain was a Vietnam War hero and two-time Republican presidential candidate. Over the last 2 years, he stood out as a key rival and critic of U.S. President Donald Trump. In fact, McCain's family had asked Trump not to attend his funeral. McCain died at the age of 81. The Nobel Committee on Wednesday said that Myanmar civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi will not be stripped of her Nobel Peace Prize despite allegations by the United Nations that her government is committing genocide. An independent UN investigation recently recommended that Myanmar's top military leaders should be investigated and prosecuted for genocide over alleged human rights abuses committed against the Rohingya Muslims. The allegations leveled by the report include indiscriminate killing, gang rape, assaulting children and destruction of villages. Hundreds of people gathered in Kiev on Wednesday to commemorate the 4th anniversary of one of the deadliest battles in Ukraine's war with Russia-backed rebels. Kiev blames Russia for the 2014 massacre and says that its army helped the rebels in surrounding the Ukrainian troops in eastern town of Lovisk. Over 366 Ukrainian soldiers were killed and over 450 were injured during the battle. 300 soldiers were also captured and 84 of them continue to remain missing. Britain's car production has fallen 11% year-on-year in July, with output standing at 12,151 units last month, according to Britain's Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. The fall in the output was a result of model changes, season adjustments and preparations for tougher new emission standards. Home demands have also slumped 35% compared with a drop in exports of 4.2%. Former Scottish First Minister resigned from the Scottish National Party days after allegations of sexual misconduct became public. Salmond has denied the allegations and taken legal action against SNP administration for the way it handled the complaints against him. He added that he was taking the action to protect his party from its opponents and avoid any internal division. Salmond said that he would reapply to the party if he wins his court action. He also launched a crowdfunding appeal to raise £50,000 to help pay his legal costs. Four people have died and 4 others are missing after a mud flow poured into a tunnel construction site in southwest China's Yunnan province. Rescuers have been sent to the spot and search operation is underway. The mud flow has also cut off traffic to the construction site, forcing the rescuers to open up new roads. Over 100 people have been evacuated from the area so far. The Croatian island of Rab witnessed one-of-a-kind race on Tuesday when dogs and their owners took part in a combined swimming and running race. The competition was organized by a beachside bar that is dedicated to dogs, and it drew around 15 four-legged athletes of all sizes and colors. The competition was won by a 5-year-old mutt pony who won himself and his owner a 2-day vacation at a campsite on the island. Spain celebrated its annual food fight on Wednesday with thousands of revelers hurling around 145 tons of tomatoes at each other in Bunol. The Tomatina food fight originated from a spontaneous bust-up amongst villagers in 1945. The festival was banned during the 1950s at the height of General Francisco Franco's dictatorship. The festival has gained immense popularity recently and draws a huge international crowd. Mexico City has broken its own record of preparing Latin America's longest sandwich. Thousands of people gathered in Venustiano Carranza on Wednesday to watch chefs craft a record-breaking 70-meter-long torta sandwich. Thousands of pieces of bread, lettuce, onion and tomato were mixed with over 60 ingredients, including hundreds of liters of mayonnaise, mustard and other sauces. Each section of the super torta had a different flavor to represent the numerous combinations that the local cooks have created over the years. And in news from India, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that his participation in the BIMSTEC summit in Kathmandu is a symbol of India's highest priority to its neighbourhood. He added that this also signals India's strong commitment to continue deepening ties with the extended neighbourhood in Southeast Asia. Oscar-winning filmmaker Guillermo del Toro says a push for gender equality is beyond a gesture, it's a need. The Mexican director was speaking at the Venice International Film Festival, where he is the head of this year's jury. In a passionate speech during the jury press conference, Del Toro said the goal has to be clear and has to remain to be 50-50 by 2020. Mourners began pouring into Detroit's Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History to pay their final respects to late Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin. They approached her gold-plated casket to the sounds of her gospel recordings. She was in repose, dressed in red from head to high-heeled shoes, legs crossed at the ankles. As they approached, people who came from as far away as Las Vegas and Miami cried, crossed themselves, bowed their heads or blew kisses. "I'm Canadian," joked Hollywood actor Ryan Gosling when asked about the patriotism of playing Neil Armstrong in director Damien Chazelle's space biopic First Man. Talking at a press conference in Venice, Gosling went on to say that he does not think the astronaut considered himself an American hero. The Oscar-winning director of La La Land returns to open the Venice Film Festival for a second time with First Man, a first-person account of NASA's mission to land a man on the moon.